All right. All right. Shalom, Yasharala. I'm giving infinite honors to our Heavenly Father and our great King, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakakadash, honors to our apostles and our bishops, stone, and salutation to my fellow laborers in the Mashak Yahweh Shai, pushes beloved doctrine across the four winds. Shalom. Yeah, I had to start the computer all over. I don't know what happened last time, but it didn't have any sound, so the Lord had so we back uh to doing this epistle. All right. Um, you see the title. I'm about to go into the history of these devils. All right. The word devil goes into diablos, deceiving. All right. And the God raised this devil up to deceive the nations. Okay. And the greatest lie ever told was who the sons and daughters of Yasharala, Israel are. Okay. We've been lied to in this God-forsaken land, as America. But hey, that was all prophetic for us to be lied to. Okay. All right. The Lord raised the devil to lie to us. All right. And for us to truth, this gift, this gold tried in the furnace. All right. And proclaim it towards the four winds. All right. In all directions throughout the planet Earth. All right. This is Proverbs chapter 20, Salakia, Revelation chapter 20, verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. All right. In the 1400s, the so-called white man came back into power through the Roman Catholic Church. All right. The family, the Bogiers. Okay. They came out of the abyss. The abyss was during the Dark Ages, they was in captivity. All right. They was over in the Caucasus Mountains. All right. Living like the Neanderthals that they were. Okay. And they shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. That's the whole planet Earth. All right. The Lord brought them up in power so they could do what? Go deceive the planet Earth. All right. So what is the greatest lie that they did? They lied about who the nation Israel are. All right. They told us so-called Negroes in America, here in America, and throughout the planet Earth that we were stinking funky Africans, Hamites. Okay. And they lied about who they were. All right, the red Hebrew Edomites, and they have lied and deceived the earth to thinking that they're the people of the book. Okay, but in this final hour, the Lord raised his prophets to shed light on this lie. Okay, so they are created to go out and do what? Deceive the nations. And he shall go out to deceive the nations within the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather together to the battle. The number who is the sand of the sea. And the Lord raised them up to usher in their timely demise, all right, to get World War III kicked off and vex these Russians, okay? But as you can see right here, the Lord said what? That in the final hour, they're going to be raised up to do what? To deceive the peoples of the earth. Let me get another precept to set the tone before I bring out all this history. Okay, this is, you got to know your enemy, all right? And our enemy greatest tool is not his nuclear missiles, all right? It's his educational industrial complex, his almanacs, his encyclopedias, all right? That's his greatest power, all right, that he uses against our people, okay? He would deceive you and have you thinking good is evil and evil is good. This is John chapter 8, verse 44. Ye of your father the devil. That word devil, diablos, means to deceive. All right. So if you're like the so-called white man, you're a deceiver. All right. You abide not in the truth. And the lust of your father he would do. That's why 2/3 of our people don't have a word. All right. Because they have their father the devil. They take a lie and don't think twice. All right. He was a murderer from the beginning, all right? Just talking about the so-called white man, the red Hebrew Edomite. The devil is not some red humanoid in Middle Earth burning in the disco inferno. That's Greek folklore. All of that is lies. We come to shed light on these lies and abode not in the truth, okay? Because there is no truth in him. So when he tell you that you're African, he lied, all right? When he tell you that you're Hispanic, he's lying. All right, we were conquered by him, and they forced their philosophies and their languages on us. Okay, all of us are from the various tribes of the nation Israel, so-called Native Americans, so-called Negroes, and so-called Hispanics. We're the people of the book, but we've been lied to. When he speak of a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. So the so-called white man is none more subtle than this devil. He's a magnificent liar, all right? And magnificent liars are good because they'll throw a few pieces of truth in their lies, all right? So let's go into history of these identity thieves, all right? Let's see when they start lying about their identity. All right, we're gonna go to this devil. Oh shit. You know what? I gotta pronounce his name. Antipater. Antipater. I think that's how you pronounce it. All right, let me see if they're gonna have a thing where I can pronounce it right on here. Antipater. I don't got it on here where I could. Antipater. I'm almost positive that's how you pronounce it. But he's the father of the Herodians. All right. Let's see. We about to get into this Herodian history. All right. My question was, did Antipater convert to Judaism? All right. When you convert to Judaism, that means you're not an Israelite. All right. You're a Jewish convert. Okay. Now we're going to get the history on how and why he converted to Judaism. All right. This is the father of Herod the Great. Okay. And AI responded. Their response was yes. Antipater was a family converted to Judaism in the 2nd century BCE. All right. They're converts. They're Jewish converts. All right. They're not born for the Lord by blood. Let me get that. All right. For you to be an Israelite, you got to be an Israelite according to the flesh. All right. Now to get in the kingdom of heaven, you got to be an Israelite, not just according to the flesh, but inwardly through the spirit. All right. But to be a biological Israelite, you have to be born in the Lord by the belly. This is Isaiah 46:3. All right. And it reads, "Hearken unto me, O house of Jacob, and all the remnant of Israel, which are born by me from the belly, and which are carried away from the womb." All right. So these people ancestry does not go up to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as we're about to find out. Okay. They're converts. All right. Yes, Antipater's family converted to Judaism in the 2nd century BC during the Hasmonean ruler John Hyrcanus. All right. Now he was an Israelite. All right. He was one of the last Israelite kings. All right. He was like the last Israelite king of Judah. Okay. He descended from the Maccabees. All right. The Maccabean dynasty. All right. So he's an Israelite according to flesh. This is one of our forefathers who forced the Idumeans, Edomites, the rare Hebrew Edomites, the so-called white people, to adopt Jewish customs like circumcision. All right. So when we conquered them, all right, we forced the laws on them. Okay. In the ancient world, Antipater was an Idumean, and though he was of Jewish descent through forced conversion, see, that's a bone. See, that's a bone. This is what this devil do. You got to understand, he's in power, and he has control of information. It's saying, though he was of Jewish descent, no, he was not. Through forced conversion, you can't be of Jewish descent because of forced conversion. All right, that's him being a master manipulator with words. All right, here we go. His Edomite ancestry was a source of resentment for some Jewish people because he wasn't an Israelite. And that shows you how our people used to go off. Okay. Forced conversions. The conversion was not voluntary, but a result of John Hyrcanus' policy. All right. We're going to do that in the kingdom of heaven. We're going to make everybody conform to our laws, man. All right. We're gonna put the nation in subjection, and they're going to keep the Passover. All right, they're not going to be having gay sex in the kingdom. Just like when we have to submit and conform to their laws in this society, okay, they're going to conform to our laws in our kingdom. All right, but I'm gonna show why John went out. He let this dude climb up the corporate ladder and deal with our holy things. That's how he went off, which required Idumeans to accept Jewish traditions to keep their land. Okay, assimilation in the Jewish society. This is where he went off, and this is where we is always going off. All right, you start letting them mingle into your society. Nah, that's what we've always done from the beginning. When you go to the garden, we start assimilating with the other nations, those Canaanites in the garden, and letting them assimilate in our society, and we always go down, man. All right, this forced conversion allowed Antipater and his family to integrate into Jewish society and politics of Judea. So they let him become a government official. All right, they let him come to the Holy of Holies, let him come all to the temple and shit. Okay, despite their Edomite origins, that's off. You're not supposed to be able to do that. In fact, let me get a precept to back that up. That's how he was going off, man. That's why we are in these conditions for disobedience. Is that in Ezra or Nehemiah? I think it's in Nehemiah. Okay, what a precept at? Nehemiah 13. All right, here we go. It's against the law, man. All right, Nehemiah 13. On that day, they read the book of Moses in the audience of the people. That's our law. The book of Mashah. All right, the law of Mashah. All right, and there was found written, the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come in the congregation of Yahweh forever. Okay, and that goes for all of the nations. All right, that goes for all of the nations. All right, including the Edomites. The Edomites more than them, because they met not the children of Israel with bread and with water, but hired Balaam against them that he should curse them. How about our God turned their curse into a blessing? All right. So they're not supposed to be able to come near the temple, come amongst us, or nothing. All right. But that's what Chronicles let them do. It got the other precept. Is that 1 Samuel the 15th chapter? Let's get it. Saul wicked ass. All right, this 1 Samuel 15. All right, here we go. See, because the Lord said that they couldn't come in the temple because forever, because what they did to us when we came out of Egypt. Well, they're not the only ones that vexed us when we came out of Egypt. All right, this is 1 Samuel 15. And Samuel said unto Saul, Yahweh sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now, therefore, hearken to the voice of the words of Yahweh, and thus saith Yahweh of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt. All right, so he did the same thing the Moabites and the Ammonites did. Okay, and this is what the Lord say. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have. All right, Amalek is the so-called Jews of this society. Okay, all right. The small hats, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. All right, that's why the house of Saul, man, they are enemies, man. They never obey. All right, so that goes hand in hand with the scripture in Nehemiah. All right, so when you read about this history over here, where Hyrcanus let them assimilate in Jewish society, he was going off. That's why the Lord let them take us down, because we didn't keep his commandments. Okay? Assimilation in the Jewish society. This forced conversion allowed Antipater and his family to integrate in the Jewish society and politics of Judea. That should have never have been. All right, he was going out. Despite their Edomite origins, man, that was some abomination of desolation type shit. Letting them come in the Holy of Holies, letting them judge amongst our people. Nah, man, that shit was off. All right. Controversial ancestry. Despite his conversion, Antipater's Edomite heritage remain a point of contention with some Jews who use his ancestry to undermine his political standing. All right, so it's etched in stone that the father of the Herodian dynasty is an Edomite. Now let's go to his fucking son to show you what they do, how they always in bed with Eve when they want to come in and subdue us. All right, Eve got a lot to pay for it. All right, he did it first before I go to the Khazarian Empire and show you this pattern that they like to do. Okay, where I'm about to go next. All right, Herod the Great. This wicked fuck. Now this is the son. Herod the Great is the son of Antipater. All right, and here we go. I think I'm gonna pull him up on the encyclopedia too. All right. Herod the Great killed all of his monies. You know what? I'm gonna go and get his Wikipedia first before I read that. All right. Here we go. Herod the Great. All right. This is the son of Antipater. All right. When you look over here, his father, Emperor Antipater the Idumean. All right. Straight up Edomite. Okay. Herod the Great was a Roman Jewish king of the Herodian kingdom of Judea. All right. So we had a Edomite ruling in the temple. All right. This is what happened when you let them synchronize with you and integrate in your society. They're going to come up and take you out of your position, man. He is known for his colossal building project. I ain't going to read that. I want to get to the point what he did. All right. All right. I want to get his wife. All right. His spouse was his spouse was Miriam the First. All right. She was an Israelite woman. Okay. Miriam, also called Miriam the Hasmonean. Now, she was a Jake. All right. A Hasmonean princess and the second wife of Herod the Great. Her parents, Alexandria Maccabeus and Alexandria Judea, were cousins who both descended from Alexander Janneus. All right. So you can see she was an Israelite. Okay. All right. That's the one I wanted to get. Now let's see what he did when he intermarried with our people, like what we're not supposed to do. All right, our law say in Deuteronomy 7th chapter, we're not supposed to intermarry. We're not supposed to synchronize with these fucking heathens. Okay. Now let's see what this nigga did when he intermarried into our trying to intermarry in our society, which he did. All right, this is the first thing that bitch did, man. Herod the Great systematically eliminated the remaining male members of the Hasmonean royal family to consolidate his rule. All right, when he got into power, all right, and intermarried with the Hasmonean princess, he killed all of the men that could have went to the throne, ascended to the throne. Though he did not kill every single Hasmonean, he executed Hyrcanus II, all right, the last Hasmonean ruler in 30 BCE. And his actions effectively ended the Hasmonean dynasty. That was the last king of Judah, man. Okay? And who got him knocked off? An Edomite. Because what did the Lord tell us to do? Never trust thine enemy. All right? You're never supposed to let these devils get incorporated into this holy thing. You read about that in Ezra the 4th chapter. They can't build with us, man. Though some female Hasmonean heirs, there's no such thing as a female heir. All right, that's why you got to be properly educated. See what the so-called white man and these so-called Jews, they deal with lineage from the female side. Nah, that's not biblical. All right, that's Satanism. There's no such thing as a female heir. All right, according to our custom, your heir was your son. All right, like Herodias and the descendants survived for a time. Okay. All right. consolidation of power. This is what he did to get in power. And this is the same thing the serpent did to take us out of power. What did he do? Can't fuck with our fucking women, man. Consolidation of power. Herod married Mariamne, a Hasmonean princess, to bolster his own legitimacy and position. Okay? What did the serpent do in the garden? He came and beguiled Eve. Okay? That's that, and it's gonna become a pattern because I'm gonna show you what happened with the Khazars. All right, their descendants. All right, elimination of rivals. He systematically removed Hasmonean rivals. The Hasmonean rivals are our ancestors. All right, he was an Edomite. They were Israelites, including the elderly Hyrcanus II, who was executed for allegedly plotting against Herod. All right, systematic extermination. All right, after securing his power, Herod proceeded to eliminate other Hasmoneans who he might pose a threat to his throne, removing the last male heirs from the family. All right. So you see what this Edomite did? He came in and started the Herodian dynasty. He eliminated the Israelite blood, and then he came in and took our position and claimed our throne. He said that they were the Israelites, but he was an Edomite. Now let's go down a few thousand years, okay? Let's go down to these Khazars, all right? Let's go down some time to the Khazars, and we're going to see they did the same thing, okay? This guy Bullen just may as well be Antipater in the reincarnation. This is the Khazarian king, Bullen, who converted to Judaism. All right, now this is what you got to understand. After Rome fell around 300 AD, we put those devils in submission. All right, and those devils during the so-called dark ages, Byzantium, the time of the Moors. All right, from about 300 AD, to like, and I say technically before 300 AD, because the last leg of the Roman Empire were a bunch of jakes, from Pescennius Niger to Septimius Severus, all those east wing, Eastern Front Romans were jakes, okay? So what happened to all of the Edomites? We put them in captivity, all right? We sent them in the caves, okay? All right, but towards the end of those 1,000 years, they started rising up. And in those mountains rose up a king named a Khazarian king called Bullen, all right? And Bullen was a Khazar noble and the founder of the Bullenid dynasty, all right? He is usually identified as being the same with Sabriel, and he is. They're the same person, all right? Bullen was his Edomite name. When he converted to Judaism, he got this Hebrew name, Sabriel. Sabriel, that name is it goes back to the Hebrew origins, all right? They did it in Yiddish, but that's a Hebrew name. The king who led Khazar conversion to Judaism, you see? Now we're going to see what he did when we just seen what Antipater and Herod did. They went and married an Israelite woman, all right? We're going to see what this nigga did. The king who led Khazar conversion to Judaism, all right? So this guy was not a Jew born from the belly, all right? He is not an Israelite, okay? He converted to Judaism, and thus he's sometimes referred to as Bulan Saburiel. Little is known about his reign, as with other Bulan rulers. Now you notice Esau got history on every civilization, every dynasty, but when it comes to the Khazars, there's not much information on him. You see, he's a vagabond. He's trying to hide his identity. All right, this is his history. All right, just like he gave us this fake history. We were Africans. We all black people come from Africa. Now we're giving him his history, and we're giving him his proper history. All right, you are the descendants of these Khazars, those Herodians, and ultimately Esau. All right, this is y'all history. As with other Bulanite rulers, It is unclear whether Bulan was a Khagan Bek of the Khazars. Now, Khagan is a title, all right? A Khagan is a title of imperial rank in Turkic, Mongolic, and some other languages, equal to the status of emperor and someone who rules Khaganate empire. Like, it's no different like Amalek. Amalek is a title of power, like emperor, okay? So they show you these are the same people, okay? It is unclear whether Bulan was Khagan or Khagan Bek of the Khazars, which he was, all right? He was, all right, because all of the Khazarians didn't convert, just like right now. All of these so-called white people in this society, all of the so-called white people in this society do not call themselves Jews, but the ruling class do. Amalek do. All right, Amalek would be the Khagans of today. Okay, the ruling class of the Edomites, and they call themselves so-called Jews. Okay, although the latter is the equivalent of how the head people of the Babylonians called themselves the Chaldees, the ruling class. Okay, although the later is more likely, he was succeeded by his grandson Obadiah. Historical authenticity and accuracy of the documents mentioning his name have been questioned. All right, and they got a lot of so-called questions when you go to look up these people's legacies. Okay, Khazarian, they have information, but it's not much. You got to literally go through this wormhole. All right, now I'm gonna get this. All right, this quote from Arthur Koestler. All right, and this guy wrote a book called The 13th Tribe, okay? And in this book, he told the truth. He told the 100% truth, all right? This is Psalms, the 64th chapter in real time, all right? He's a whistleblower, all right? And he whistled on these Khazarian Jews, okay? This is Arthur Koestler, The 13th Tribe. This is a quote from his book. The large majority of surviving Jews in the world is of Eastern European, and thus perhaps many of Khazar origin. All right, okay. So Amalek is descended from the Khazarian Empire. Okay, modern day Jewry, these so-called white men, all right, these small hats are the descendants of the Khazarian Empire. And where was the Khazarian Empire? They was up there in the Caucasus Mountains, okay? It is so, this would mean that their ancestry came not from the Jordan, but from the Volga. Not from Canaan, but from the Caucasus Mountains, all right? These people are cave dwellers. They are not the people of the book, all right? They are not the sons and daughter of Yasharallah, okay? One believed it to be the cradle of the Aryan race. All right, and this is his own people blowing the whistle, okay? And that genetically they are more closely related to Han, Yerger, and Magyar tribes than to the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right? And once it's established that these people are not the sons and daughters of and the descend from the loins of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, then who are the people? All right? Us so-called Negroes, Native Americans, and Hispanics. We're the people of the book. Should this turn out to be the case, which it is the case, then the term anti-Semitism will become become void of meaning based on misapprehension shared by both the killers and the victims. Now that's a bone, because Esau is Jacob's twin brother, and we both descended from the loins of Shem. All right, so they are Shemitic. All right, they're not the people of the book. They're not the Israelites. They're not the ones that the Lord gave promises to. All right, but they are Shemitic. All right, they do descend from the loins of Shem. All right, so that was a bone. The story of the Khazar Empire, as it slowly emerges from the past, begins to look like the most cruel hoax which history has ever perpetuated. The greatest lie ever fucking told. All right, now look, this nigga wrote this book in 1977. All right, now let me tell you, this is a whistleblower. He wrote this book, published this book. It was 1976 and 1977. A few years later, not even a decade later, he died from suicide. Now, we know how the devils get down. When you blow whistles on these devils, what they do? They kill your fucking ass. They kill your ass. Then that's how they do you. Oh, suicide or some bad car wreck or something. You know, me speaking as a man, my humble opinion is they killed him because he left a trail of gold nuggets, man. He exposed them. He exposed the identity. In fact, it say him and his wife committed suicide. All right. Now with us, we're not ignorant of our enemy's devices. We know that's how he get down. They killed that nigga, man. He told the truth. All right. He told the truth. All right. Now here goes another piece of information that give you a context clue who these people are. All right. And this comes from the AJC, American Jewish Committee. Now look, they control information. So let's see, why did they go and make this clip about the Khazars? Because they want to control the information and they want to control the thought process of the peoples of the earth. All right. And as you can see how that guy author say that they told the greatest lie ever told, this is them defending that lie. All right. You see, he wrote that book, The 13th Tribe. They made this the American Jewish Committee because they control all media outlets. They control all facets of information. So they got people up here to defend these lies. But when you read what they're trying to defend, is just read it with a spiritual perspective. All of this is the truth. All right. All of this is the truth. They're trying to demonize it. All right. Khazars, a people, one exists as a nation in the Caucasus, the southern region, the southern Russians. Now, what do so-called white people call themselves? They call themselves what? Caucasians. All right. What is the word Caucasian derived from? The Caucasus Mountains. All right. That's where the Khazars are from. All right. These people are cave dwellers. Okay. In the 6th century CE, the Khazars, an obscure warlike tribe in Turkestan. What it said about them? They are a warlike tribe. All right. When you go to Genesis, let me go ahead and get it. Context clue. They say the Khazars are a warlike tribe. What is Esau? How does Esau live? He lives by the freaking sword. What that is? Genesis 27. All right. Is this not a warlike man? Look at America. It's been at war 80% of its existence. Okay, 70 to 80% of its existence. All right, this is Genesis 27 and 36. And he said, is not he writing the name Jacob? This is Esau talking. For he supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright. No, he didn't. You sold your birthright. All right, you sold it. I think you read about that in the previous chapters. You sold your birthright for some raw meat, and behold, now he have taken away my blessing. No, it was our blessing for the taking. All right, we were predestined to inherit that blessing. You are not worthy of that blessing, you so-called white man. He said, "Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me?" All right, now let's see what his father told him. And Isaac answered and said to Esau, "Behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given him for servants. With corn and wine I have sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son?" And Esau said unto his father, "Hast thou not one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father." And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And when you read Hebrews the 12th chapter, no repentance was found him, though he wept bitterly with tears. Fuck him, and fuck all of you Edomites. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, "Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above." All right, he has that right now, but that's not perpetual. He has that prophecy has been fulfilled. He has that right now. He has command of the whole compass of the earth. Jeremiah, the 51st chapter of the 50th, one of them calls him the hammer of the whole earth. He has control of planet Earth, okay? And by the sword thou shalt live. All right, and what does it say right here in verse 40? And by the sword thou shalt live. So when you come over here, what does it say about these Khazars? All right, what does it say about them? An obscure warlike tribe of Turkestan. All right, and who fought for land that was ultimately overtaken by southern Russia and Ukraine. All right, that's all these people do. They're warmongers. All right, that's how you know when you're around a Edomite. All he wants to do is rob, kill, and steal. That he's the enemy. Despite the decline in population and territorial defeat, the Khazarians continue to be mentioned throughout history, especially as one of the first groups to adopt Judaism. All right. Now, these are the so-called Jews trying to separate themselves from their ancestry. All right. They've written all this shit down because they don't want to embrace their ancestry. Okay. So they got the American Jewish Committee putting out excerpts like this to sway the minds of the simpletons. By the 8th or 9th century, they call anti-Semitic conspiracy theories began forming around the Khazars. You see, then they go with the anti-Semitic rhetoric, man. Reported conversion to Judaism. All right, that's not a conspiracy. That happened. All right, that truly happened. This spurred anti-Semitic beliefs that they were building a secret empire which sought widespread control through financial gains. All right, and that's the true meaning that the Khazars why they converted to Judaism. I'm gonna show that. Okay, they converted to Judaism for monetary gain. All right, I got an article somewhere about that. Given that the Khazars moved and settled into Eastern Europe, anti-Semites pushed the conspiracy that Ashkenazi Jews, all right, modern day Jewry, Jews descended from Eastern Europe are not the real Jews, you see? But they are not the real Jews, you see? That's them trying to defend the lie. And they're rejecting their birthright, okay? They're rejecting their ancestry. They want to be us. They envy us. They wish they were us, okay? And are working to infiltrate other nations on the quest for world domination. Hey, that's what they're doing. All right, read Revelation the 13th chapter, man. They want world domination, okay? The Khazar trope is also used to undermine the Jewish connection to Israel, all right? And it's not a trope. It's the truth. All right, you're not the people born by Yahweh Shema Shai from the belly. You're Jewish converts, all right, from the 8th to the 10th century. And therefore, Israelites' rights to exit, okay? These devils are mad. They spending millions and millions of dollars to push this vibration, man. All right, they going in their pockets to push this lie, man. Because it falsely says Jews originated from the northern Caucasus region, which were part of the Turkic Empire. That's where the Ottoman Turks come from. All right, now look. It says, therefore, the Israelites' right to exist because they falsely say Jews originated from northern Caucasus region. All right, when you go all the way up to your history, y'all originated in Petra. That was y'all first domain in the caves. When y'all came out of power, you went back into the caves of the Caucasus. All right, the Caucasus. That's why y'all are called Caucasians. Okay, this is the truth. This is not a lie, and we're part of the Turkic Empire, and not the land of Israel. No, you're not the people of the book. That president from Egypt is quoted saying y'all left black and came back white. Y'all are frauds, and you're faking a fraud. For example, in September 2023, speech to the Palestinian Fat Party Revolutionary Council, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas said European Jews were descended from the Khazarian kingdom. Because guess what? The cat is out the bag. Everybody know it. That's why this devil is about to come down with great wrath and show his horns, because nobody's believing your lies anymore. Okay? Now I got something. I had one. That's not it. All right, this the one. All right. I'm gonna show why the Khazarians converted to Judaism. Why the king converted to Judaism. It was all about the money. These people are all about the money. They love money. All right. Of all the nomadic, let me read this source right fast. This is the Library of Alexandria Ultima, the Khazarian Khaganate, an introduction. All right. So this is an excerpt by Alexander. All right. Cartographer. Cartographer is a person that deal with maps. Alexander's cartographer. Okay. So let me get to the article. All right. Of all the nomadic empires, the Jewish Khazars have been one of the greatest historic enigmas. A steeple nomadic people compared to Attila's Huns and the Mongols. The Khazarians have attracted a great amount of attention for their seemingly bizarre conversion to Judaism. You're not going to get around that, man. These people are Judaism converts, and they are not the people of the book, man. Through biology, all right? They're not born by Yahweh Shemal shot from the belly, all right? In popular imagination, the Jews, following the destruction of the Second Temple by the Romans in 70 AD, those were our ancestors, are often the tribe of Judah, okay, so-called Negroes, that's who that happened to, are often thought of as a people of wandering merchants and theological scholars, and we are, all right? We're out of our land and activity, all right, and we're scattered throughout the planet Earth, and the elect of us are theological scholars, okay? And we're theos, just going to God, all right? And then if you're a theologian, you study the Most High, all right? The idea that a horde of ferocious steepy warriors, you see how what they keep telling you? On the last excerpt, they said they were warmongers. On this is a different excerpt, and then what does it say? They are a horde of ferocious steppy warriors, all right? So that goes hand in hand with Genesis the 27th chapter, that he would live by the sword. Wherever he go, they'll follow, man. When you read about Daniel the 8th chapter, what did it say about Epiphanes? It say that he destroyed wonderfully, man. These people are bloodthirsty warmongers, man. All right? The idea that a horde of ferocious steppe warriors and Asiatic nomads, all right, and they're nomads. So what did the Lord say that Cain was going to be? It said he was going to be a vagabond in the earth, man. They don't have no place in nativity. They were pushed to the caves, man. These people are vagabonds, nomads, moving to and fro. They don't have a land. They don't have an inheritance. All right? This is what they're born out of. Living in tents would convert to Judaism, and is often looked up as one of the most peculiar chapters in world history. Okay? So let me get to the point. All right? Where did the point is? All right, here we go. All right? The Khazarians, we'll start down here. The Khazarians have always been a subject of particular interest, mainly for their conversion to Judaism. Their conversion appears very strange, and it's not. It's not. It's a method to their madness. All right? They want that blessing. They want their blessing back. Have you got one blessing for me, Father? You see? They want that back, but you're not going to get it back. But it's actually not as bizarre as it appears. It's not, if you understand the scriptures. The exact details of their conversions are largely unknown. All right, and that's because they are hiding that history. They're suppressing their history. Amalek controls information, and what information that exists is obviously mythological. You see, in this word myth and mythological, when you go into the topic and go down the wormhole, the Khazarians, linking them to Amalek, linking them to the so-called Jews of the day, you see this word myth everywhere. They got the word myth. It's a myth. It's a myth. Go to ChatGPT and stuff. They're gonna say it's a myth. It's a myth. No, it's not. It's the truth. That's why the Lord say, woe to them that call evil good and good evil. All right. This devil is the liar and the father of lies. All right. This is the truth. The myth is that us Negroes in America are Africans. Now that's a fucking myth. Nor is it known precisely why they converted or why they chose Judaism. Several theories and histographical interpretations exist which attempt to answer the question, but they are just speculations ultimately. All right, now his theory is on point. All right, this is his theory. All right, I agree with his theory, which is it's not a theory. And when you bring out the truth, the Lord put the spirit on him to write this article. Okay, he say my theory as to why the Khazarians converted to Judaism will be answered in the second article of this series. My explanation is quite complex and will require an entire essay on it itself to be explained properly. Now, you got to understand, this is an Edomite. All right? This guy that wrote this is an Edomite. All right? These are whistleblowers saying, look, man, these people are not even the people of the book. But a brief and preliminary explanation should be given. I believe the Khazars converted to Judaism in order to achieve the political consolidation of the Khaganate by increasing, all right, and the Khaganate means a ruler, like an emperor, like Amalek. Both of those mean like czar, emperor, king, you know. That's the word that the Khazars use for king, a ruler, all right? Political consolidation of the Khaganate by increasing the Khaganate's wealth through greater involvement in world trade by attracting a people who could serve as administrators. You see, they used us. All right, this is what you call getting when you fit in. This is what Antipater did to the Hasmoneans. He got in where he fit in, learned the system, and took over. All right, this is the same thing that these motherfucking Amalek did during the Khazarian Empire. This is why they converted to Judaism. They used the same play in the playbook. They did the same thing that Antipater did and Herod did to the Hasmoneans. Got in where he fit in, manipulated them, and took power and seized power. Okay? Same trick. All right? It's not going to work on the elect. By converting to Judaism, the Khazars would both attract Jewish merchants, real Israelites, okay, to their realm and leverage the international Jewish diaspora. Because you got to realize during this time we were in power. We was handling our business, man. Okay? It wasn't no dark age. That was the age that we was thriving. All right. It was dark to the so-called white man. That's why he's coined it the dark ages. All right. They were in slavery those 1,000 years. All right. Especially the Rananite Jews, Radhanite Jews, who were a great mercantile people involved with the Silk Road at the time. Increased wealth through greater involvement in the Silk Road was used to tie that disparate subject peoples of the Khaganate around the Khagan. Additionally, the Khazars, being nomadic Turkic people, had no traditions of learning or literacy. You see what I'm saying? They try to shit on us, man. They was in the caves. All right? They didn't have history books, you know. They didn't start documenting things till we taught them to document things. That was the whole point. They wanted to get close to us. All right? This devil cooking, man. All right? The Khazars, being a nomadic Turkic people, had no traditions of learning or literacy. And to this day, when he's so-called educated, he's dumb as rocks. He don't know that the anal cavity is not a sexual organ. All right? He say we've descended from monkeys and shit. He's a beast, man. Thus, they were poorly suited to be administrators and officials of an empire. You see? So they had to learn how to create an empire through us. Okay, that's why he chose Judaism to get in where he fit in. He learned our history. All right, he learned that salvation was for us. All right, he learned that the Lord, we were the apple of the Lord's eye. Okay, and to be honest, those elites of the Khazars, 10 out of 10 times knew they were Edomites. Okay, because the elites when they come in power, the elites be having the truth. The only way you can push a lie, you have to have the truth. By converting to Judaism, the Khazars would attract a highly educated people who had abilities that would fill a niche that the Khazars otherwise could not fill themselves. All right, they envied us. They wanted to be like us. They wanted to learn how we did things. That's the same thing Antipater the Idumean did to Hydrocus. All right, that's the same thing he did to Hasmoneans. He learned our way of life. He climbed up the corporate ladder, learned the system, and then took it down. All right, him and his son. All right, this is the same fucking trick, same dirty trick the Khazars did, and Amalek. Okay, by converting to Judaism, the Khazars would attract highly educated people who had abilities that would fill a niche the Khazars otherwise could not fill themselves. In short, the Khazars converted to Judaism in order to use the Jews to affect the people consolidation of the empire. So they converted to Judaism so they could learn how to build a kingdom, so they could learn how to rule over the people. Okay, it was a method to their madness. They could have converted to Islam. They could have converted to other philosophies, but they wanted to get close to us because they knew we were the people of the book. All right, ultimately. And they trying to get their birthright back. All right. And these Khazarians are the forefathers of Amalek. Okay. They're one and the same. And Amalek is the so-called modern day jury. All right. It's modern day, not so-called modern day jury. All right. Who are imposters. Okay. This guy was cooking on his little article. All right. Here we go. Similar to Roman and Russian empires, the Khazar Khaganate was a highly ethnical heterogeneous entity. The ethnic composition of the Khazars themselves was largely like Turkic, with some Uralic and administered at the very least. Similar to the Americans, the racial composition of the Khazars likely changed substantially over time. All right, because that's what they do. Once they get in power, they do want to Hellenize and Westernize everybody. You know, when they get in power, they want to profane you. That's what makes them more subtle than all beasts of the field. Their conversion to Judaism almost certainly resulted in marriages between Khazars and Jews with mixed offspring. There's no thing as a mixed offspring. All right, that's a bone. All right, if he go in the Israelite woman, that child is going to be an Edomite. All right, all of the early Turkic Khaganites, all right, were highly cosmopolitan and multi-ethnic states. The other Khaganites in Middle East Asia saw extensive mixing. Wait, where did I get this part from? This is not what I wanted. This is a beautiful article, though, but that's not what I wanted. I'm not here for this. All right, here we go. This is what I wanted. All right, here, yeah, this is what I wanted right here. As time went on, the Khazars likely became even more so ethnically mixed. Moreover, the heterogeneity of the Khazar was likely not disturbed equally across all of the inner and outer tribes. For example, the sources say that Khagan was Jewish, but many lower-ranking Khazars remained pagan. All right. And guess what? The Khagans is the chief of the people, the elite of the Edomites during that time. Just like Amalek is the chief of the people. All right? But most so-called white people don't identify as being Jewish. All right, that's how it was with the Khagans. The elites of them identified with being Jewish, but most of the Khazars didn't identify with being Jewish. It's nothing new under the sun. Okay? The sources say that the Khagan, that's the elites, that's like saying Amalek, all right? That's like saying the Chaldeans, all right? That's a title like that, was Jewish, all right? The higher ups, but many lower ranking Khazars remained pagan, all right? This likely means that there were more intermixing between Jews and Khazars of the founding and inner tribes, all right? And that happened. That's why the Lord took us down, let them take us down, because we weren't supposed to give our daughters to them to wife, and we weren't supposed to give our sons to them to marry. But the less so with the outer tribes. This is, of course, not guaranteed. We lack any written source we lack any written sources elaborating on this, nor are there any Khazars today for genetic researchers to study. Now that's a bone, see? It's full of bones. All right, the descendants of the Khazarians are the ones walking around dressed like Abraham Lincoln. They're the same people, man. All right? They're the same people. They're not calling themselves Khagans. They're calling themselves Jewish. All right? They're Amalek. They're here. We're looking at them. They're hiding their identity. All right? How they just going to disappear? This is the same lie that the Edomites all went away and just disappeared. Nah, it's no end of the nations. All right? This is his rhetoric. This is the lies he tells people. It is possible the Khazar converted to Judaism without anyone marrying Jewish people. But I find this to be unlikely. In the contemporary world, most people who convert to Judaism usually do so because they married a Jewish person. And that's what Herod the Great did. He went and married a Hasmonean queen so he could link in and usurp authority. All right? So I agree with him on that. Of course, what is common today does not necessarily mean it was common in the Middle Ages. Now, it's nothing new under the sun. It's the same thing. This devil don't change his tricks. He got the same dirty tricks. But nevertheless, I think the hypothesis that there are a largely degree of mixed marriage is a fair assumption. All right? Salakia, where was I? All right, the Jewish conversion very like resulted in marriages between the Turks. I already read that. And Jews from the Middle East and Byzantium. Oh, yeah, that's the point I wanted to read. The Jewish conversion very likely resulted in marriages between Khazarian Turks and Jews from Middle East and Byzantium. You see, we were ruling the Middle East. We were ruling Baghdad. We were ruling Syria during these times. All right? We were ruling Italy. We were ruling everything during the Byzantium times and afterwards. So this is who would they have converted from? Our ancestors, okay? Our people are the ones taught them how to keep the laws in the law of Moses, okay? That's the point I wanted to bring out. The Jewish conversion very likely resulted in marriages between Khazarian Turks from the Caucasus Mountains and Jews from the Middle East and Byzantium, all right? And during Byzantium, man, we ruled everything. We had everything. So these are the same people that you're looking at that are so-called Jews today, okay? And during the Lord's time, they were Herodians, and the descendants of the Herodians are these Khazarians. And the descendants of the Khazarians are these so-called Jewish people we're looking at today, man. Okay? And the Lord, hey, Shalom, Mike. Yabashima Shabakatah, brother. All right? And the Lord has opened up gave us eyes to see and ears to hear. All right? And all these strongholds are being torn down. This devil is exposed. He's put on Front Street. All right? Everything done in darkness is coming to light. All right? We're the people of the book. And this great awakening is beautiful. All right? And we're going to cry loud, and we ain't sparing nobody's feelings. And we're going to bring out this truth to the Lord. Tell us don't. So with that, Abaratazah, this is edifying to the hearers. I'm going to get infinite honors. to our Heavenly Father and our great King, Yahweh Bashem Al-Shai, Bashem Harat Kakadash, double honors to our apostles and their bishops, a great millstone. Salutation to my fellow laborers in the Mashak Yahweh Shai. Kwam Yasharala, Abba Ball, Shalom.